driven from the top.
We desperately need data.
One sustainability myth that you'd love to debunk.
It doesn't cost more to be sustainable.
Add a dash of spontaneity.
I think my wife would say I'm hardworking and also hard work.
Create a more positive impact.
Be gender or racial diversity. I don't think that doing well and doing good are mutually exclusive.
Recycle, reuse, reduce.
So reduce, reduce, reduce.
Thank you, John, for taking the time to be with us. Okay, so John, insurers excel at managing risk. How do you think insurance companies can leverage this advantage to imagine the ESG landscape? And in doing so, what do you think would be the key components and metrics for relevance as well as effectiveness?
Thank you, first, for having me. Delighted to be here, delighted to share some experience. I think you're right, insurance companies have been managing ESG risks and particularly climate perils for as long as they've been around. That's really one of the principal things that that insurance companies are here to do and have done very successfully. So managing the climate risks is not really new for insurance companies. What's new is the pace that we're having to deal with that at, that everybody is joining forces with us to try and achieve a pretty unique global outcome. And that's quite an interesting and exciting time and challenges us in new ways. So what are we doing? We're doing many of the things that all other organizations are doing. We're also focusing on trying to leverage the experience we've built over those 150 years in the case of our organization into advisory services to help our customers understand those risks and how those risks might manifest for their businesses. Try and give them the benefit of that experience, help coach them and educate them about what they can do in their businesses to make them more sustainable, to make them more protected. And those additional services over and above providing straight insurance services are really making an impact with those customers. The other element is really about engaging with those customers and making sure we really understand what's happening in their sectors, which is different. We support a very, very broad range of sectors across the globe. In addressing the metrics point, like a lot of organizations, we're surrounded by metrics. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of metrics that we measure ourselves by, and tracking all of the different elements that will ensure that we take ourselves as an organization to net zero. Then our TCFD disclosures and reporting, which all organizations are now starting to embrace holistically. And then we're starting to set ourselves some more challenging targets around how we measure the decarbonization of our investment portfolio and how we will eventually measure the decarbonization of our underwriting portfolio as well. So there are many, many more metrics that our business will have to get used to, but that's kind of nothing new for us.
Very interesting. I mean, when you hear the term ESG, sounds so simple, but it looks like there's a lot happening at Zurich driven by you. Well, talking about climate change, improving resilience to its adverse impact is extremely critical. What were those turning points at Zurich that amplified its focus on climate change? And based on your journey, what significance do you think climate disclosure and GHG hold for insurers?
If I can think of a turning point, not unique to Zurich actually, I think is probably the Paris Agreement. That got a lot of global entities really focused on the challenge ahead and battling to try and achieve a 1.5 degree future. The conversation has clearly moved on from Paris, but I think that really mobilized the organization. I think that's when we realized that the role as insurers was quite key, that there was a role for us along with banks and the community of financial services really to play a key role in how we would get that transition. That was probably enhanced further by the Glasgow COP and nudged another step forward in terms of the creation of GFANs and other sort of organizations around the financial services role. So that was probably, or they were probably catalysts, turning points for Zurich. I think this stuff comes from the top in terms of leadership, and our group CEO Mario Greco is extremely committed to ensuring that we play a leading role in this change and that we take our responsibilities seriously. So I think that is the is probably the turning points and the key leadership elements for us as an organization. Around disclosures, we need the data. We desperately need data. Insurance organizations thrive on data, and without it, we struggle, to be honest. So we have to have data, and the disclosures that we're all now starting to deliver are going to give us that source of data that can allow us to support decision making going forward. So not only our disclosures, but those of all our customers are really important to us.
So clearly, this is a journey that has to be driven from the top.